Well, they're hooked to the Zoom. They should work.
No, for Monday.
They're hooked to the Zoom. They should work.
We're not using Zoom with Streamlab.
Oh.
We were going directly from.
Um, they they should still work.
They didn't
Okay,
with
yeah,
Restream.
well, yeah,
So yeah,
we could test it.
I mean they didn't with Restream because I talked to Thomas briefly today and he was trying to get something worked out and edit privacy public. He was trying to get something. He was trying to hook the Zoom. That's what he was doing. That's why I thought of it. He was trying to hook the Zoom to Streamlab. I'm like, okay, I don't think you need to do that, but he wanted to, and that's fine. But um, yeah, and it made me think that, huh, we didn't do phones, and we didn't, to be fair. Okay, need to go to group first. I tried something last night when I was sharing the show announcements announcement. I got very I left some groups out and I didn't get stopped. So I'm gonna try that again now.
Uh, do you need was it you still need the sign-ons for the GCPR Twitch, the YouTube? Oh wait, I had the YouTube one. That's the
It
Mr.
wasn't working.
McCormick one. What?
It wasn't working.
Okay. Ours was working.
Correct.
Ours went there. Oh. So the Twitch, the YouTube, and what else?
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, no.
Yeah, I know you're doing your thing.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Sorry. Oh, Twitter and Thomas's TikTok. That's what it is. All right.
Right. And if we can't get to the phones before tomorrow night, I don't think it'll be. It's only doing an hour.
Okay.
Panda just sent a message. My computer decided to run an update.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
the help desk will
we
be here on Tuesday night.
yeah, we know how that goes.
So Thomas just said, "What's the deal with the website?"
Meaning
I
what?
don't. Uh, Meaning what? Audio?
I have a feeling not all of these went through.
He says, I'm trying to find it.
Then he's plugging in the wrong address.
GCPR.live.
.live. But then I mean I did it wrong once too. Oh shit, 602. Okay,
If you can make me co-host, I can bring Amanda in when she has her computer up and running. I know. You're doing
gosh, I almost muted you. That would be the wrong clicking thing to do.
Thank you.
Wah, 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 wah. Wow. I think I got it down. I think if I just cut down, I think I just have to be more selective with where I'm sharing, and I can get through it. Okay. Now,
I was looking at some political
we need
news
to
this
go.
morning.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody wants Michelle Obama to run. Oh my God, that would be awesome. In place of Biden.
Well, yeah, they've been talking about her for years. That ain't gonna happen though. She wants no
No?
part of it. She's been very, very clear about it. Okay. Let's oh, check out 101 for me when you can, because I switched servers. It should be okay.
I will check out 101 for you right now.
604. Gosh. Well, here we go. Countdown is on. 3. Wait, let me check settings. I did change it. Okay. I did change it. All right, let's do this thing.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through?
You're good on Hot 101.
So doggone seasoned that he won't try something new. A man who's old enough to know. Up to do. To you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight? A loyal man who brings a job a fresh new point of view. But it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed? Which we must be true. It's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth. The only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect live with you for the 30th of June, 2024. How about this, gang? How about this? June is over already. June is over. It is amazing to think. It truly, truly is amazing to think. Let me give you a little heads up on what's happening around here. I always talk to you without too much oversharing, if you will, and without too much depth, beyond what I feel comfortable sharing. And by the way, none of you are losing sleep about what's happening in my private life either. But let me just say what's happening here a little bit. Here in the grand second bedroom studio, I have a bit of a new setup. So I am using a laptop to monitor Facebook. I'm using my phone to monitor YouTube, which is normally what I do. And it is quite an adjustment. And I'm not quite sure if I fancy it, to be honest. Except that my tablet, my iPad Pro, is just about had it. She's just about at the I would not be surprised, actually, to be honest with you, if it no longer I shouldn't say no longer functioned, but didn't update much more or any longer. Like if we got to another another update or two and it just didn't work, I wouldn't be surprised. And so isn't it interesting how I can do some things. I'm adjusting to this, and it's not the time to be adjusting to it. This really is not the time to be learning how to do things on the fly. But we have something coming up tomorrow that I need to tell you all about, and part of the new setup is for exactly that reason. Why I've done this new bit of playing with this new bit of technology, if you will. And so it's not, I don't want to say it's not going well. It's just I'm such a creature of habit, unfortunately. I'm old and I'm set in my ways. And I'm used to having the phone on a little stand here and having the iPad over here, but the iPad is dying. It's becoming slowly non-functional. My phone stand, someone borrowed it. I haven't seen it since. So that's not here either. But it's been a day. And I usually don't start off the program with such heavy, if you will, and sad sort of things, but I do have to today because I have a feeling that I might not get to. And if you've visited my own personal Facebook, or if you've visited the group, you'll know that I do post a lot of stories and a lot of memes and I wouldn't exactly call them advertisements, but the posts about animal welfare, about animal safety, about adoption, about videos from the dodo and from local shelters and stories of adopted animals who were essentially shut down and had given up on life, and they get adopted, and you see them burst into life. Well, roughly 18 years ago, I was newly divorced, and we had just lost a cat that we had when we were still married. He had feline AIDS. He was born, you've heard me talk about cis. on this program a lot. She was 20 when she finally passed. Her brother Jake only lived to 7 because they were born obviously together, and they usually the immune system of young kittens like that will flush out just as it does for babies. Well, Jake's didn't flush out in the right way, so the feline AIDS finally got him. And not too long after we lost him, I had 2 cats, and I thought, well, this is probably how it should be. I'm single. I'm on my own here. I don't think I need to be the crazy old cat guy. But my sister got to me and said, there's a cat on my front porch that I've been feeding that you need to come and give him a home because he's just the sweetest guy in the world. And so I went to her house with a cat carrier after a lot of back and forth, and after she had to convince me, because I didn't think I really needed 3 cats living by myself, but did it anyway. I went to her house with a carrier. I'd had an appointment for the vet. If I could get him straight from her house into the vet, we'd be okay. And so did all that. And I got to her house and I'm knocking on her door, waiting for her to answer. And here comes Guy jumping up on the side of the porch, and he froze because he was shocked to see somebody there. He was just going to jump on her front porch and eat again. And he saw me and he froze in place. And I knew that was the cat that she wanted me to come and see. And I said, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? And he just kind of froze. And I said, you come on over and give me some love. And he did what is tantamount to the cat shrug of the shoulders and said, okay, why not? That sounds pretty good to me. And came on over and just started loving me up, something awful. And so I put him in a carrier, scooped him up and brought him home. And 18 years later, he's still here with us. Guy is, I assume, was someone's cat because he's a house cat. He just is. He doesn't have a terrible desire to go outside. He doesn't have a terrible desire to do anything terribly adventurous. He's happy to play, very playful, but he's not happy, not necessarily wanting to get out and explore the world. And he acts very much like a dog. He's on your lap. He follows you around the house. He talks to you every single morning since I've moved here to Pennsylvania. When I get out of the shower, he's there waiting for me. When I get home, he's at the top of the steps waiting for me. And we found out a few weeks ago that Guy has cancer. And not just a normal, if there is such a thing, not just a normal type of cancer, but he has skin cancer. It hasn't spread throughout his body. His chin is kind of liquefying. It's kind of turning into jelly and falling apart. And there's a couple spaces where you can see deep into the cartilage. And I think there might even be a space where you can see into the bone. And this morning, he tore another piece of it apart. So now it would appear that his entire chin is basically just really bad jello. And it's very painful. And we're trying to do the best that we can. At the same time, he's not ready to go yet. And I don't think he quite understands what's happening. He is eating. He's still very affectionate. But every time anything even just barely taps his chin, he's in so much pain that he screams and runs around the house like he's trying to get away from the pain. And so why would I bother you with all of this? Because it's just been a busy time around here. It seems to me that Kristen and I do nothing other than work and sleep and very little else. And what has been taken up with the very little else of time is to try to make Guy as comfortable as we can before we lose him. And I have a deep feeling that is going to have to come probably this week. And it always makes me, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because generally he's happy. He's a happy dude. And it's a shame that it's not a shame that he doesn't understand what's going on. I guess it's ignorance is bliss, but he doesn't understand what's going on. And at the same time, it's not very pleasant. It's almost, I kind of almost wish he knew something was wrong. I don't think he does. And he's clearly not ready to go, which makes me think that we're going to have to decide. And that's a rough thing. So why do I bring all this up? Not to be a downer, not to be overly dramatic or really try to, throw a wet blanket over what will be a wonderful program, but because, this is family. He's family. He's a cat, but he's family. And it seems to me that among the most pro-life things you can do is to give, and among the most Christian things you can do, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the unsheltered. And that's exactly what Guy was. And for the last 18 years, he has given me infinitely more than I have given him. And when he's gone, and I fear that will probably be this week, is going to be very much of an empty hole here. This house has never recovered from Sis's loss. It has had a sense of emptiness to it that I don't think Kristen and I ever thought was really quite possible. And it's not going to help when Guy's not here either. And that has definitely contributed to our spottiness of our schedule, to the seeming lack of concentration that I can have with you at times. It's definitely contributed to my short-temperedness with the one man on earth who should never have to put up with it, and that's George. But it's been a rough go around here the last few weeks. And it has contributed to I think my presence with you, my treatment of this program, and certainly the treatment of myself, that's for sure. But what a busy time around here. I also need to tell you, of course, the good flip side, good news is that starting tomorrow evening, barring anything unforeseen, like the ridiculous weather that we're getting here right now, that has made the power fluctuate for multiple times for the last few days. George and I are coming to you tomorrow night, starting tomorrow night, again, barring anything unforeseen, at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 9 on the GCPR radio network, a venture that I have partnered with Sergeant Mack. You're familiar with Sergeant Mack. His program follows ours on Hot 101. Tonight, for the very last time, actually, his program follows ours. And we have brought a pretty motley crew together to bring you a brand new internet radio experience. And it begins tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. Eastern. And I and George will be joining you from 8 p.m. Eastern. Go to the website. George can put the website, I think, in the chat on Facebook and in the chat on YouTube. And I hope that you will decide to join us for our family. And I mean that with all my heart, for our family. Hot101.net will still be with you on Sundays. We're not going anywhere. It's just a different, just during the week, on weekdays, there'll be a new place to find us. On weekends, or I should say on Sundays, we'll be right here with you. So don't go anywhere, Hot 101. We're not giving up. We're not going away. We're just adding to the program in a different location on weeknights. So we hope that you'll check it out, and I'll talk to you more about it at the end of the program. We have shared the program on Facebook to, I believe, 105 different places. Funny how when I get a little more selective about everywhere that I share it, Facebook doesn't stop me. Find that very interesting. I guess the algorithm knows when you're picking and choosing your groups instead of just saturating everybody. And to be fair, there's groups that I belong to that I not appropriate to share the program to. They don't really have anything to do with it. They don't really have anything, any vested interest in it. It's not really what the theme of their group is. And so thank you to everybody who has allowed us to be part of your corner, your piece of the Facebook universe. Facebook might own it, but you created it. And I think, in my humble opinion, that makes it yours. So thank you for allowing us into your corner of the Facebook universe. To all the individuals who allow us, who watch our program, share our program on your own personal timelines, to every single group, large, small, local, regional, statewide, national, international, anybody that allows us to be part of your corner of the Facebook universe, we thank you very, very, very much. We could not do it without you. We simply could not do it without you. We could not be here if you are not there. Stay right where you are. Stay where you are. Watch, enjoy, yell back at the screen, at the radio, comment, yell, agree with me, disagree with me, anything you wish. If you need and or want me to see your comments straight away in a quicker way, please come on over to my personal Facebook. That's where we are again. My own Facebook. It's right there in this little, I'm circling it with my mouse as if you can see it on the screen. That's not how Zoom works. And I'm not sure why I had a brain cramp to think that that's exactly why Zoom works. Bottom left-hand corner of my square, there's my name. Come to my Facebook, watch us live, comment, ask questions, anything that you wish. I will see it. I will respond to it. If you have questions for a guest, I will pose them. We are also on, of course, as I mentioned, hot101.net. Our name is our web address. If you can connect to the internet anywhere on earth, you can listen to hot101.net, and you should be. So if you are below, on, or above earth and you get an internet signal, you can connect to hot101.net and you can be listening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Desktops, laptops, tablets, phones, Bluetooth it to speakers, earbuds, headphones, Bluetooth it in the car. And of course, you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. If you don't want to use the website, you don't have to. Use the apps, Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for the Tune In radio app as well. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net. Beautiful, beautiful thing about the apps, the hot101.net apps for Apple and Android. You download them, you tap, it opens, you're listening. No login, no credit card, no retina scan, no blood sample. Don't have to sign over your firstborn. You open it, it plays, you're listening, period, end of story. It works perfectly. Please take it in. And also part of the TCP Media Group, of course, right from Lancaster, PA, where George and I will be telling you more about our new venture later in the program. And we hope that you'll stick around to hear about that as well, as we plan to visit you tomorrow night from 8 p.m. All that said, she has been exceptionally patient and run an update on her computer just to be here today. Whether she wanted to run it or not, the computer wanted to run it. So it ran it. And here she is being exceptionally patient as I ramble on about family and work and exhaustion and migraines and all that fun stuff, all of which have encompassed the last few weeks. And that is the Democratic nominee and candidate for the United States House of Representatives from the 9th Congressional District here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. She's returning to the program for, I think, the third time. I might have that wrong. I might get out of here. It's not that high. It's not 10. Goodness gracious. I don't think so. But it's a lot, and it's enough, and we love it. And we're happy that she continues to be gracious with her time and keeps coming back to visit us. And especially with your very, very cute partner there who decided that he needs to play ball right now, or she needs to play ball right now. And that, of course, is Amanda Waldman. Amanda, welcome back to the program.
Well, thanks for having me. The other one now is thinking about making an appearance.
What's that?
So the other pup dog is like, wait, they said mom's name. I'm gonna go say hi too.
Hey,
He
listen,
changed his mind.
when you do these things from home, you're going to get company, and I'm happy to have it.
I'm glad you actually shared all the things going on, because that's something I've had a lot of conversations about lately. We've lost the connection to people. We still have everyday lives. Politics isn't everything. Oh my God, I said it out loud. But it's so hard
The
connecting with
radio feels
people.
like everything the last few months. I can tell you that.
Well,
Getting this
and
new station off the ground.
it's the community that we still need just to get through normal life, let alone political life. So I'm sorry to hear all the things,
Well, you know what?
but
It's
I loan my dog out anytime
yeah.
to give
Well,
extra
no,
puppy lovins.
the dog is still here. She is in.
Yes.
She's in
I know
rare
it's not the
form.
same as a kitty cat,
Yeah, she's in
but
rare form, but not uh, not everything on the planet comes back to politics. It just doesn't. Right? I know that. But I do find it interesting the way that some people can display themselves and seem to promulgate their so-called beliefs. And we're going to talk about your opponent and his core beliefs. Well, I'm this and I'm that and I'm that and I'm this thing and you're not, and I hate you for that, and then live none of it. And watching or having to watch this cat who's been my buddy for 18 years and has been my hip, my right hip, maybe left hip. I'm a Democrat. On my left hip for so many years. And to just have to watch him fade is brutal. If there's a soul on the planet who is least deserving of what is happening to him, it's him. And it would seem to me that if you consider yourself pro-life Christian, sanctity of life, blah, 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 then not only would you adopt these wonderful souls who need homes, but you would take care of them properly and that and the other. And I'd like to think that I've done that as much as I can for him. And arguably this maybe the toughest part of quote unquote pro-life is to know when to let it go. And I suspect that that'll be happening soon. I very much hope I'm wrong. I know it's going to be eventually. But I hope it'll be soon. Or I mean, I hope it'll be a very long time from now, but it won't be. And I just hope it'll be largely uneventful, if that makes sense. But look, let's get to you. I've whinged on about this long enough. Not everybody on the planet cares about me and a sick cat. So let's get to you. This is your second time running for this seat. Remind folks, if you wouldn't mind, please remind them, who is Amanda Waldman? How did you get here? And why do this again?
who am I? Boy, single mom. I have two adult sons now. My youngest just graduated high school. So I guess he is officially an adult dish.
Ish.
I grew up in Lycoming County. I actually live in the home that my mom built. I bought it from her when she moved. So it's actually part of my grandfather's original farm. My kids make the 8th generation living on this land. I work for a Medicare contractor. I'm an appeals representative. I make peanuts. I am one of the people. I understand the struggle buying groceries, the struggle paying the electric bill, the struggle paying the heating bill, putting gas in my car. These are all things that I struggle with as well. And I'm just as furious as all of my neighbors. But I'm more furious at the fact that our system is set up to allow price gouging at such astronomical levels. And that's what this is. This is not inflation.
At the risk of
This is price
interrupting
gouging.
you, so obviously as well.
Mhm.
That we're
Yeah,
not
I
we're not
just
hiding we're
just
not
today,
hiding this price gouging anymore. It's right here
right
in
up,
front of
right
your
up front,
face.
right up front. Just today, 3 gas stations within 7 miles. One was 355, one was 365, and the other was 375. That's within 7 miles. That is not inflation. That is price gouging. Mind you, the cheapest at 355, that's a small mom and pop shop. The other two were big corporate places, Sheetz, Sunoco, 7-Eleven. So I'm not putting this on our small business owners. I'm not putting this on our mom and pop, but they still have to buy their gasoline from Exxon or whoever. They have to pay astronomical prices. They're not price gouging. They're not paying CEOs a $3 million bonus or a $10 million bonus, or hell, I'm pretty sure Exxon could afford to give their CEO a $1 billion bonus and still not bat an eye.
Let's just remember too that not this past week, the week before, the Tesla board of directors unanimously approved a 10-year, $44.5 billion compensation package for the richest man on the planet, Elon Musk, who despite spent
Was that just to bail him out of? Is that to bail him out of the X debacle?
well, it was worth 252 plus billion dollars at best estimates. That's, somebody's worth too much money when you can't trace it all. And these net worth reports, if
And
you
like
want,
my opponent,
right? We'll get to that.
he hasn't hit billionaire status yet, but he is in the upper $6 million net worth.
If he stays in Congress long enough, he will be.
Yeah.
It's the best investment.
60.
Best investment in the country right now as a politician.
Not this politician.
But he, ironically, the compensation package from Tesla covers what money he spent on Twitter. He was worth about 252 before he bought it, spent 44 million to buy it. Oh, what a shame. He was down to 214 billion dollars. I think he's okay. Tells you that people are too rich when you can't trace it all.
And the eggs.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So tell me, let me allow you to, because I already cut you off twice. Let me allow you to finish your own thought. What a shocker. You are the quote unquote every person. You have to buy gas and groceries just like everybody else. You have electrical bills, you have bills, you have,
like you, George, myself. We are the people that the founding fathers intended to serve as elected representatives in the government. What brought me to this point to run, this is technically my third run, second for Congress. I started out at the State House in a very, very, very red district that got a lot redder in the last redistricting. No gerrymander here. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Nothing to see here, folks. Just keep.
And I did it because my entire life, and my 5th grade teacher actually summed it up perfectly. when she signed my petition for Congress and grabbed me by the shoulders and said, "Thank God you finally found something to do with that mouth." I stand up to wrong. Wrong is not just, it's not in politics. It's not about a political party. It's not about red or blue or green or purple. It's not about your religion. It's not about who you are as a person. It's not about your gender. It's about whether or not you choose to do the right thing. I have a complete and total inability to look the other way. I can't do it. Bullies are my favorite. And I woke up one morning early in February. Stop. Okay, don't bite him. Sorry, guys. Interruption. The puppy bites the big one in the face. He starts yelping. Then they get into a fight. So,
Nice.
No. Okay. Sidetrack. Sorry, squirrel. I woke up early one morning to get ready for work, February of 2020. And I heard a lying, monstrous, orange a-hole. Put it politely.
Tell us what you really think.
Spewing hate, lies, misinformation, division, and just utter nonsense. And I was so enraged. I blocked that channel on all of the TV sets in that apartment. And I went into my Democratic Party meeting that night and I said, "Hi, my name's Amanda and I'd like to run for state house in the 84th district." And I guess the rest is history. And when my state house district was, when they came out with a new map, and I saw that it went from 70% Republican to 80% Republican, I thought to myself, I don't think I'm even crazy enough for this. No, and in 2020,
I trust you.
In all fairness, my yard signs were in with Trump yard signs. I am a Democrat. I do believe in the Democratic platform. What motivates me is not that I'm a Democrat and the other person is a Republican. It's that there is work to be done for the people, all of them, and it's not being done at any level. We're at a complete standstill. And I want to go do the job. And so I actually go and I stop at people's houses who have Trump flags out, who have Trump yard signs, because they're just as pissed off as we are that the job is not getting done. That we can't afford gas in our cars, that we can't afford the bread, milk, and eggs just to get through a week for our kids, that we have to constantly rob Peter to pay Paul. Enough is enough. So when I saw that map, I was like, well, that was fun. I guess I'm done. And I believe it was the next day the congressional maps dropped. And my former congressman was Fred Keller, who I always referred to as Freddie Boy, because he managed to unearn my respect. I'm one of those strange people that I show respect upon meeting a person. You don't have to earn it from day one. You do have to keep it, though. And he lost it very quickly. And I saw that map and he was no longer a congressman because they got rid of his district. We went from 18 Congress people to 17. And I was ecstatic. And then I looked into the new congressman for the 9th district. And when I stumbled upon Dan Muser, I was like, oh, please, can we have Fred back? And being that I got rid of one awful person, I wanted to make sure that we could get rid of the second really awful person, which meant 2 years ago when I ran in 2022 for Congress, I had a lot of work to do to build name recognition. because the 9th district, and most people don't know this, it's the second largest congressional district in Pennsylvania. And there are 12 counties that span from the New York border, so Bradford and Susquehanna County, all the way down to just northwest of Reading and all of Lebanon County. So I have a little piece of Berks and all of Lebanon. So from where I'm at in Lycoming County, I'm exactly in the middle. I have exactly 2.5 hours to the northernmost point and exactly 2.5 hour drive to the southernmost point. And I am in all 12 of my counties.
And not by accident.
All the time. Like I was in Sullivan County today, right before the show. So, yeah, I'm all over the place doing the work, meeting the people. And do you know how many times I've seen Dan on the campaign trail in 4 years? Once. One time have I seen him out amongst the people he supposedly represents. And that was for a St. Patty's Day parade in Pottsville, where I'm sure he was not expecting me to be at.
Well, then let's cut to it. At the risk of almost cutting, to the end of the book without reading all the chapters in between, let's get right to it. Why? It seems to me that the answer is, or the big overriding question of your race and so many other races around the country, not just around Pennsylvania, is the question why? Why does the overwhelming majority of your district think that an abnormally tan millionaire quote unquote represents them? And I would take the question a step further to ask, at what point is this not Dan Muser's fault, but those folks for continuing to vote for him?
You hit on something that I've been saying for years. We have to stop voting for letters of the alphabet, and we have to start voting for the quality of people running for those positions. Just because I'm a Democrat does not mean that I'm going to use this, it's going to sound derogatory, but I absolutely, I have a ton of respect and adore this woman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I am not AOC. We are both Democrats. She is a New York City Democrat. Her constituents have a very different set of things they have to deal with. Is there crossover? Yes. Are her constituents dealing with inflation? Yes. Are they dealing with overpaying taxes? Yes. Do we have the same sets of issues as the rural small farmers here in Pennsylvania in my district? No, she doesn't have small farmers in her district. We're not the same. I also grew up in a family who's 50% Republican. We all still love each other. And up until 2016 and 2017, we could talk about politics and still laugh. Now it doesn't come up. I feel my grandfather rolling over in his grave because he's the reason I got politically active. He's the reason I pay attention. He and my great-grandfather, opposite sides of the party spectrum. There was cigar smoking, hard cider drinking, laughter, good-natured ribbing, arguing over politics, arguing over policies, arguing over candidates, presidents, whoever. And in the end, they had better solutions than the ones being put forward. And they still loved each other. And they knew the very next Sunday, when we all got together again, they'd do it all over again. That's what I grew up seeing. I don't see that now. I see anger. I see hate. I see guns. I see violence. And that is not our way.
It wasn't your grandfather's Republican Party. First off, there is no functioning political party.
Well, my
Republican
grandfather,
Party at this moment
was a Democrat.
Okay, well then it's your great grandfather then, was it? Did I get that? I
The
think
Republican Party is not his party.
well, and that's you beat me.
No.
You beat me to it. So there is no functioning Republican Party at this moment.
No.
Period. This
And
is
I
not a
actually
political
have,
party. It is.
I have a ton in common with our Reagan Republicans, the Reagan and Bush Republicans. And this is something 2024. Back in 2018, if you had told me that in 2024, I would be praising Presidents Reagan, both Bushes, and Liz Cheney, I'd have told you were crazy.
Even
But
though you
now
can draw a straight line from Nixon straight through to Trump, but yeah.
The thing we can say about all of them, I didn't have to agree on policy. Those men and women really truly believe they were doing what was in the best interest of this country, and that I will always respect. I will always respect that. They had honor, they had dignity, and their actions were intended to do good for our country.
We'll disagree on that.
Trump. I mean, did they make mistakes? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not saying they were perfect by any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Did I agree with them? No. I'm not saying I did. I am saying
I don't want to. Yeah, and I don't want to beat it. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole either. But Reagan did not do what he did because he loved this country. He did it because the people who bankrolled him wanted it. Do I think Reagan loved? Do I think Reagan loved this country? I actually do. I think he loved past, obviously. I think he deeply loved
Did he know?
But what
did he know what it was going to lead to? He did not. He was not a fortune teller. He could not predict.
Yes, he
could.
The
things that were set in motion were going to go where they went.
He absolutely could, because that's exactly how the Roman Empire fell. It's exactly what led to the Republican Great Depression.
But if he had known that he was a good person, had he known
that, I actually do believe.
I don't think he would have done. Donald Trump has no conscience, has no moral compass,
right?
Has nothing but himself. He cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is himself.
His bank account.
He is a narcissistic, sociopathic con man. And he is damn good at being a con man. He didn't make it to nearly 80 years old, still in business and not in prison, because he's a bad con man. He's good. He does not have this country in his mind at all. He sees a way to gain more power, more money, get away with more shit. He can actually be out in the open now about breaking the laws, because as he said when he decided to run for president, I can stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and no one's going to bat an eye. And we are now at the point where that can actually happen, and he can pardon himself.
So
President Biden has the power to pardon his son. Has he done it? No. I want to point that out to all of these Trump Republicans who say Biden is on some takedown mission and attacking his political opponent. He could have removed the prosecutor that was and the investigator in his son's case. He didn't. Those were Trump appointees. He left them in place to complete their investigation, follow the law to wherever it led. And the only thing that man is guilty of is still loving his son. That's it. If that's a crime, then I think all of us parents who actually love our children and support our children are guilty of. Period.
So that takes me back to the question then. Why does 60 to 70% of your district
because they still vote for a letter of the alphabet. And I'm going to throw the Democratic Party under the bus right now.
Which would be different.
All of our farmers, our small farmers, this used to be a very Democratic area.
Mm-hmm.
All of our leadership, everyone
Franklin
elected,
Roosevelt saved farming in this
right
country.
In the middle, very much in the middle. Could go either way. The Democratic Party, decades ago, were so secure. Yeah, there they
Tap
are.
dancing. Tap
He
dancing
just
dog.
had to, no, he had to shake water all over me. He just got a drink, and he's a Springer doodle, so there's lots of hair, and it catches all the water, and he has to, make sure mom gets a shower. So, little defective lawn gnomes. I love that.
He's
Thank
on
you
his
for
way.
that.
He's
I'm
on a
not
roll.
ever going to not see that.
He's on a roll. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
The Democratic Party, our policies never stopped focusing on the small people, on the little people, on the middle class, on the lower income families, on hardworking Americans. Our policies didn't, but we got too busy trying to win over more people that we turned our backs on the people that got us where we were to begin with. That is where the Democratic Party failed. And this was decades and decades ago. We did too much compromising. We allowed minimum wage to be uncoupled from inflation. Our levels of inflation at the time were insanely low. Why? Because every time you raise the price of goods, you had to give your workers a raise. And companies didn't want to do that. We take down that guardrail and inflation skyrocketed. That was the late 60s. What was during the 70s? What did Jimmy Carter get all the blame for? Super high inflation. I still hear my parents tell stories about it, my aunts and uncles.
And let's remember
And that's
to
yeah,
reemphasize
you inherit.
to emphasize what Amanda's saying. If the federal minimum wage had been tied to worker productivity,
Yes.
the minimum wage at this moment would be about, it's quite a range. I understand. It's quite a berth, between $25 to $32 an hour. If the federal minimum wage is tied, it's not tied, but is as in currently tied to CEO pay, it would be about $45 an hour.
And that is only because inflation was allowed to get out of control. And workers were never getting the minimum wage raises along with that inflation. Because when inflation skyrockets like that, who makes money? CEOs, executive board members, executives in companies.
Stockholders.
Yes.
Hedge funds.
I don't get a raise. My company does these. I probably shouldn't say it if anyone figures out. I'm not going to. We're just going to not try and lose our job today. So I'm not going to tell.
Not today.
I'm not going to tell the story.
Not today.
Anyone from my company watching, I would like you to remember I didn't tell the story. So
You muted yourself. You hit mute. How'd you do that?
I didn't even touch the computer.
The dog did it.
No, they're in another room. That's why it's quiet. Workers get nothing. We're expected to hand over our lives to companies and have the basic bare minimum benefits. These companies are making billions of dollars. We shouldn't have to pay for our health insurance through them. That's just fact. I'm lucky I only pay $300 a month for health insurance for me and my two sons. That's lucky. It's good insurance. There are other companies that pay 25% of the cost. There are people that have horrible healthcare coverage, horrible, where they have to pick up additional plans to have any coverage at all. It all falls on our shoulders. We pick up the tab for taxes. We pick up the tab for property taxes that keep our school systems running because our government is so dysfunctional, they won't pay for their mandates at the federal level or the state level. All in the guise of, well, we're not going to raise taxes. This raises our taxes, additional taxes outside of what the state and the federal government collect. It raises our local taxes. It hurts our local governments, our municipalities, our small towns when they have to do road work. There's no money. What do you mean there's no money? I'm not getting a tax return anymore thanks to Trump. Why us? Why do people making over $400,000 a year get tax cuts? Why is everyone so against Biden's tax plan to where anyone making over $400,000 gets a tax increase? The rest of us don't. We get a tax decrease. Why is that a problem? We've been carrying this country on our backs for decades now.
Or at least
And
since
now it's to the
since
point.
Reagan. Yeah.
And before Reagan. It's been before Reagan.
The top marginal tax rate when
Reagan
Reagan took office was 74%.
Reagan
Even
did
Nixon
implement,
kept it at
trickle down.
74%.
Yeah, Reagan implemented trickle down and he lowered corporate tax rates. But there were guardrails in place before that, and you had to take down each of these guardrails. The reason I'm running now is because those guardrails are gone. Everyone in the district, once they met me, and I knew this wasn't a one-time win, this seat is going to take 2 to 3 times. I'm running because we're still footing the bill for rich people. We're still under the directives of religion, specific religions, specific churches within specific religions. And I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that that's not what our nation was founded on. Pretty sure people that originally came here were not the cream of the crop from other countries. 1. 2, they had different religious beliefs. Yeah, he's chiming in. He was like, tell him, Mom. And now the people who are most affected by all of this are those of us who don't have the means to buy a politician and change it. I'm never going to be a party darling. I'm never going to play nicely with bullies. I don't care what party they are. I don't care in which way you're bullying someone. Right now, the working poor and the working middle, we are the victims of wealthy bullies. And there are so many more of us than there are of them. And I hope this makes sense to some Trump supporter who stumbles across your broadcast right now.
There's more than watching.
Because when I talk to them in person, even in groups, they agree with the same thing. And I'm not running for president. So I'm not going to yell and scream at them for supporting Trump. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, we're all still Americans, and I don't have to agree with what you choose to do with your life or who you choose to support. My job for my race is to communicate with you, the voter. It is to earn your support, not your money. I'm not calling for donations. Don't let my manager hear that. It's not, to me, it's not about money. To me, it's about doing the work the people need done. Right now, I have to go have my car aligned again because my roads are so terrible. Every time I drive home, it knocks my car out of alignment. That's how bad they are. But yet, I pay, I think it was, our last bill was $3,300 in property tax. That's for a year, but I have 15 houses across the road. I like to tell people I keep the property value down because I'm not wealthy. I can't afford to do all the beautiful upgrades and remodel every few years. And, you know, my property value isn't $400,000 like the ones across the road. I was fortunate that I could buy this house for what my mom owed, or I wouldn't be here either. But I'm tired of footing the bill for everybody else. I'm tired of bullshit and nonsense and lies. I just want to do the job. And when people actually meet me and they get to talking to me, they realize I'm not a politician and I'll never be one. I might meet a text or a dictionary definition, but I'm a public servant. I believe in the public good. I believe in listening to what constituents need and want done. So I'm going to segue right to Dan. He spent 2 months bitching, whining, moaning, complaining, lying about our southern border. What an awful tragedy it is, and it's in such bad shape, and we have to secure the border, and national security and national security and national security. Drugs. He didn't mention guns. That's a funny story on top of it. And then finally have a really awesome border security bill come back from the Senate. It gives us more border patrol agents, 24/7 drone coverage of the entire southern border. Additional money for technology, additional protective gear for the agents, border patrol agents. President Trump realizes this is a really good bill and he's not going to be able to do any better. So what does he say? Well, you can't pass that bill. I won't have anything to campaign on. And all of a sudden, my opponent is dead silent on the border. In spite of the fact 80% of this district wanted a border security bill passed. 80% of 700,000 people in this district wanted a border security bill passed. And what does he do? Change subject. Move on to something else. Nothing to see here, folks. He is a spineless coward. He did not use his position and his name recognition and the power that comes with that job to push Speaker Johnson and force that bill to the floor of the House for a vote. As a Democrat, if my party were doing that same thing, and 80% of my district wanted this bill passed, if DHS loved this bill, if Border Patrol loved this bill, all of the unions are behind this bill, I'm going to make a hell of a lot of noise, and I'm going to throw people under a whole lot of bus tires until that bill comes to the floor for a vote. Period. I'm not doing this job to be liked by political figures. I'm doing the job for the people. My opponent doesn't do that. In 2022, March 3rd, actually, of 2022, Dan Muser voted against the Honoring Our Pact Act for our veterans. Basic health care coverage for service-related illnesses for our veterans. This is a no-brainer, right? No-brainer. That's a yes vote. What's Dan do? Along with every other Republican in the House, voted against it. A few hours later, statement comes out why they voted against it. And I quote, "If we were to cover the service-related illnesses for all of our veterans, we would balloon the deficit," end quote. About a month and a half, 2 months later, my opponent spent $700,000 to political advisory groups to tell him voting against veterans is a bad idea, and he probably shouldn't have done that with over 45,000 veterans. Just veterans, not even active military, veterans in this district. Magically, his vote changed. It cost him $700,000 to do the right thing because he doesn't have a moral compass to do it on his own.
The obvious thing.
Yeah. This was a no-brainer. And I looked at that vote and I was like, are they trying to not get reelected? Is this the way they see to get out of politics without resigning? There is so much more. Like, as far as I know, he's still under investigation for insider trading from 2021. Where are the stories about that? And I just had a report. He outperformed both Warren Buffett and Bill Gates in the stock market. They each earned 9 to 10% on their stock trades. The congressman had a 37 or 39% return on his stock trades just in this past year. And tracking down what stocks he made money on and what issues he hears in Congress, there's a direct correlation. That's insider trading. This is another criminal. The reason he is backing Trump is because he doesn't want to go to jail either. He wants to make sure these laws never pass. He wants to make sure that it stays legal for elected officials to trade, to make their own trades based on information that the general public does not have. There's actually a bill out there to allow the citizens to base their stock trades, and I didn't read the whole thing, so I apologize. I really only read like a small summary, but it's so that we can get that insider trading after they've made their trades, so we can copy what our elected officials are doing instead of just making it illegal for insider trading. They want to find a loophole, create a loophole so that they don't have to stop making money off of our backs again. All reasons I'm running. I'm very fiery, angry about a whole lot of different issues. If you go into women's rights, I probably won't shut up. I'm just going to let you know.
So I'm late for the reset of the program. Let me do that. And then I'm going to ask yet again what I think is a very obvious question. But that said, 7:09 Eastern Time here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, live from Northampton County, the most important electoral county in the country. The Kennedy Effect is live with you for the 30th of June, 2024, the very last day of June already. It feels to me, I've said to George a number of times as we've been working on technology and software here to continue to improve the program, that it feels like Memorial Day was about 5 minutes ago. And here we are at the end of June. Tomorrow is July 1st. It is July 4th holiday this week. And perhaps a very poignant Independence Day, because is it going to be the last one we have? Or is it just the next one? Something to think about. We have shared the program to 105 different places across Facebook. Deep, sincere, humble thanks to every single person, group, both large and small, local, statewide, regional, national, global, public, private, political, internet, radio, groups, anything, anywhere that anyone has allowed us to be a part of your corner of the Facebook universe. We deeply appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you, and we thank you very, very much for allowing us to do that and for taking in our program. Please remember, if you're joining the program a little bit late, if you missed any of our first hour, the best place to catch up on all of our past programs is our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. That Other Side of Information. We are live there right now. After we're done, the program stays there. You can go back, watch from the beginning. If you missed anything, you can watch on Facebook, of course, as well from the very beginning. It sometimes gets to be harder to find as the week goes on and the post drops down and down and down the line. But on YouTube, very, very simple to find. That Other Side of Information. If you want to comment, ask questions, agree with me, Amanda, argue with us, disagree, again, questions, comments, all of that, please come to my Facebook, Jeff Kennedy. Go in the comments section where you see the live stream of the program. I will read your comments. I will ask your questions. We will open the phone line later in the program. Toward the end of the program, in our third hour, perhaps from roughly the 8:30 point, 8:45-ish point on, George and I will be talking to you about the dramatic expansion of the program beginning tomorrow night. Stay tuned for that. We'll get into it toward the end of the program. We are also on hot101.net, of course. One of the originators of global internet radio. If you are below, on, or above Earth, if you can connect to the internet with any type of device, you can listen to hot101.net, and you should be. Desktops, laptops, tablets, phones, Bluetooth it through your car speakers, through earbuds, headphones. You can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. Use the apps if you don't want to use the website. Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android, and for all other types of devices, you can use the TuneIn radio app. Well, it's the search bar, type in hot101.net and listen. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you should be listening to hot101.net, and it is all around the globe. Proud to be part of the TCP Media Group as well. Amanda Waldman is the Democratic nominee and candidate for the United States House of Representatives from the 9th Congressional District, right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Everything that you just mentioned about Mr. Muser, all of it, why doesn't anybody know it? And if they do know it, do they believe it?
Okay. When was the last time you were in Bradford, Susquehanna, Wyoming, Sullivan, Eastern Lycoming, Western Luzerne, Columbia, Montour, Northumberland, Schuylkill, or Lebanon counties? And I'm leaving Berks out of this intentionally because the Reading Eagle's pretty awesome. When was the last time you were in any of those 11 counties?
Probably the last time we went to visit Kristen's parents.
When was the last time you picked up one of our local newspapers?
The only one that I'm aware of is the one that they give away at the grocery store. And I'm forgetting the name of it. And she's downstairs listening, and she's going to, of course, you know the name of it because I say it all the time. I forgot. I completely don't remember the name of it. It's going to come to me probably in the middle of the night. I'm going to roll over and go, oh, it's that. And I don't remember what it is.
Yeah. So are the local
and the closest television I would say probably is still WNEP or the TV out of Wilkesboro, Scranton. I think
well,
the closest TV that you're getting.
WNEP, which is the ABC channel,
or out of Harrisburg, perhaps.
BRE and WYOU. Those are the local NBC and CBS affiliates who are now linked. There are a number of small newspapers, all Republican-owned newspapers. And the stories that they print tend to match whatever the blotter on Fox News is. Although I have noticed them deviating and going for whatever Newsmax or OAN is promoting at the time.
Because a 10-foot hole isn't deep enough. Let's do a 20-foot hole.
Yeah. So, well, because apparently Fox News is getting too moderate. So the information that people have access to isn't the truth. It's not a full story. And I take issue with a lot of what's written in our paper. I don't take issue with the reporters because I have met quite a few of the reporters, and I do know what many of the reporters write is not necessarily what the editors print. A lot of things are cut out. So everything I'm saying on your show right now, I have said this in a million speeches, in a million rooms in the past, 3-4 years now? 3 years. And none of it makes it to print. And I did have a few very dear friends explain to me why all of this information about my opponent doesn't get put into print. The Medicare fraud case didn't make it to print. The homeless family member that my opponent is supposed to be handling the estate of doesn't make it to the newspapers. Insider trading made it to the newspaper twice and disappeared. Because my opponent takes a whole lot of money from a whole lot of people who benefit greatly from how he decides to vote. Part of that money is used to suppress a lot of these stories. And I'm on the air live saying this. I say it in person all the time. I promote it on my own page. Why haven't I been sued for slander or libel? You have to be able to prove it's not true, and he can't. So, this is why the people still vote for a letter of the alphabet. We no longer have an informed public. Everyone has checked out. And to be quite honest, I don't blame a single one of them. If I could check out, like, I'm often very jealous of the people who just check out because I'm not able to do it. And it is hateful and it is divisive and it is ugly. It is a lot of greed. It is a lot of dirt. It is a lot of immorality. I'm running because I believe the people can change it. The number of candidates that I've met that have decided they're just regular people like us. Like Fern Laird is one of them over in Luzerne County running for state house. Patty Lawton in Columbia County, she's running for state senate. Zach Waldman, he's running for Congress over in the 15th district, which, by the way, that's the largest congressional district. He has 18 counties. So I'm thankful for my 12. These are regular people living everyday lives, struggling to pay all of the bills on time, to not have to rob Peter to pay Paul, still making peanut wages. The number of candidates like them is insane, and it grows every election. There are more and more regular people running for office because we're tired of the same thing everyone else became apathetic over. It's the same complaint. When I talk to people who haven't bothered to vote for years, and all of a sudden they're going to vote now because they realize we're on the precipice of losing our country, and they don't have the money to move. There's nowhere left to go. Talking to them and ask them why, it's because all politicians are greedy. I can't trust anybody. Everybody's a liar. It's not true. By all rights, I should not be able to run for Congress, according to, current thinking on who a candidate is.
You're not a millionaire.
Yeah. I don't have $250,000.
In fact, I think the average income, quote unquote, income for a member of Congress, and remember, folks, Congress is both houses. It's the Senate and the House. Congress is a conglomeration. It is the legislative branch. It is both the Senate and the House. The average, quote unquote, income for a member of Congress is about $1.6 million. There are only a handful of them without a personal net worth over $1 million, and literally only a handful. And one just got voted out in his primary after the Israeli lobby spent $15 million in just advertising to get him voted out. Jamal Bowman was a teacher and he never made millionaire status. So there's only a handful of members who are not millionaires. And I told you last week, I've told you actually the past several weeks on the program, past several episodes on the program, what Amanda's talking about is anger, right? And there's a very good reason for the American people to be angry. But I have been having this conversation across Facebook for the past several weeks as I see what our traditionally Democratic friends on Facebook post these ridiculous, what I can only believe are foreign generated memes that are so powerfully ignorant that I've begun to ask them all if they've been hacked, because the stupidity is so obvious.
They're using the
No,
AI generated bullshit.
Well, there's that too, but there's a reason I'm angry. Amanda's angry. Many, many, many of you are angry. And a lot of that anger is very well justified. It is historically justified. It is scientifically justified. And history, of course, justifies a lot of it as well. But ignorance is not always bliss. What are you angry? You're angry, but who are you angry at? Are you angry at the right people and the right things for the right reasons? So many people across Facebook, and again, these are folks that right in their profile will say they're Democrats, pissed off at this administration over inflation, but never seem to mention that corporations are recording globally, humanitarian, in the history of all humankind, globally, historically high profits. Because those two conditions are not, they don't go together. You cannot have out of control runaway inflation, which by the way, we do not, and still have globally high profits. Because you should think then that the inflation that you're paying is going back into the corporations in the manufacturing process. But of course, manufacturing everything overseas. The Chinese don't have inflation. They just manipulate the currency whenever it's convenient. There is always some natural inflation. A dollar doesn't buy you what it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, or back during the Republican Great Depression. It simply doesn't. It went a lot further. Yes? That said, so you're angry about that.
So here's
But
the
who the
thing.
hell are you angry at? You're angry at the wrong people. You're angry
Everybody
that
talks about going back to the 50s
the
and how
1850s.
one income earner could afford the vehicles, the house payments, all the bills, and still live fairly comfortably.
As late as 1968, it was 1.2 full-time jobs.
But why was that? Because at that time, inflation was still tied to minimum wage. They were still together. And unions were very active. And pensions enabled people to retire and still have life left to live instead of being at an age of which most people are going to die before they start collecting. My dad was one
Or
of those,
before they can quit
by
working.
the way. We can't go back until we fix the system. During that time, people also knew hard work, and this is the American way, is it not? Hard work. That's how you get what you want. That's how you move ahead. That's how you build a better life for your children. That's how you get a nicer house and a nicer car. It's hard work. I have no problem with hard work. I worked 3 jobs at one time most of my life, starting in high school. 2 restaurants and then a summertime job. So I maintained the 2 I had during my school years in high school, and then picked up a summer job as a 3rd job to save money to put myself through college. Took me 15 years to finish college because I went when I could afford the semesters and I worked my butt off to save enough money to afford the next semester. I am not any further ahead than I was when I started. Working families, hardworking Pennsylvanians in general, are not getting ahead based on their hard work. That's why people are angry. Because we have been told this. I've been told this since birth. I'm pretty sure my dad was yelling it into my mom's stomach before I was born. If you want something, you're going to have to work hard. All of us believe that. Well, we work hard. We work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. We're not getting ahead. And then we watch people waltz into jobs because of who they're related to, how much money their family has, who can donate where. And that just makes us that much more angry. We're being denied our own rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We can't live if we don't work. We can't pursue our happiness because we have to pick up the second full-time job and the third part-time job to live, to pay the bills. We don't have dreams that we can pursue anymore because they're always just out of reach for us. We didn't come with money. We're trying to help our children, lift our children up, make a better world for them, working our butts off, showing them to do better so that they don't have to live like us. And now we have generations of our young people who can't even get an apartment because what they're paying back on student loans is so insanely high. And this is not to mean that I think the only solution to the student loan debt issue is to forgive all student loans and make college free. I would love that to happen, but that's not the only solution. Another great solution to this, how about we cap the interest rates on student loans at 0.5 percentage point? The government isn't making the money.
Well, they
That's
are now.
banks. All of our
Government
loans
actually
go
does
through
make-
banks.
The federal
All of
government
our
actually
loans
does
go-
make money on student loans.
Now,
Partly why so many people don't want to forgive them is because the federal government.
so
actually
all
does
of
make
my
money.
promissory notes, I had all federal loans. My promissory notes were to my local banks. They're subsidized, backed by the federal government,
Mhm.
federal student loans. But at 14% interest rate, why? I also don't agree that college is the only answer for people. Our community colleges and trade schools. My bigger issue is that the local school district I'm in, they have a fantastic VOTEC program. It is absolutely fantastic. But when they hold job fairs, they do it through a local technical school. I have no problem with that. But many of these jobs, we have unions that hire apprentices, pay them good living wages to learn the job versus going to a college to learn the job and then owing someone else a ton of money so that they can immediately start building their local community. When the people in a community have money, the community grows. I live in a county that our population is dropping dramatically. Many of the rural counties in my district, our young people are leaving because they can't afford to stay. Why aren't these unions able to come in on career days? Why don't these kids know? And I talk to a lot of them. Why don't they know that's an option? Some of these kids want to go into construction. Hey, have you talked to the local, whichever union? You want to be an electrician? Have you talked to the local IBW? Have you talked to SEIU? Have you done this, and this? These are places you can go learn the same exact thing, but be paid for your time to learn it. Start out with a foot up. I take issue with our current assistance program, TANF. It was great that it finally got redone in the 90s. Kudos, Clintons. Kudos. Well done. You took the bull by the horns. You forced people to actually do the job, because that's a lot of it too, is just pure laziness. Nobody wants to dig into the tax code and actually fix what used to be a 400-page thing that's now well over 4,000 pages. No wonder there's so many loopholes. But with TANF, we have a 5-year loophole. When people get a job, that's when they need childcare. So why do we take away the childcare benefit as soon?
You wouldn't. You did it again. I don't know what's going on with your system, but you muted again.
Okay, I'm not even touching it.
I saw
must be
that. I
saying
know.
things that
No, I
just
see that.
doesn't went out there.
You had the hand motions going and it still went. So I don't know.
So why do we take away what's necessary for people to get out of the system?
Yeah,
How much
but
money we can
but I
save?
got to ask again, though, at what point does this become the responsibility of the voter?
The voter has to know what's happening.
Because the
If we're being blocked
was that
from
not
messaging, how are they going to know?
Not in part, at least in part. How is that not their fault?
How are they supposed to access the information? We no longer teach civics in high school. Nobody knows what job. Search what your local job is and find how many results and how many of them are actually factual. Most people will hit the first Wikipedia article they come along. And you know what? If my puppy here, Lenore, could type, she can update a Wikipedia article. Where's the valid information? We no longer teach our students what they need to know.
Good. All right. Let me narrow the question down.
I'm an English nut.
Let me narrow the question down then.
Mhm.
Because you make a very valid point that Republicans seem to be somehow on every side of it and yet no side all at the same time. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Except we're not going to give you bootstraps. Go get an education, but you can't afford it. Go be a carpenter, but we're going to destroy the union that's going to teach you how to be a carpenter. We love the police, except when a treasonous mob is storming the Capitol, beating those very police
and they
with
want to
American flagpoles and trying to stab them with the top of the pole and kill them all. But we love the police. Oh, but we hate their union. We kind of hate the police are unionized, but we love police.
We hate the bill for providing them with protective gear so that they can go out and safely keep the peace, so that we can cut the number of police deaths down.
We love veterans, but we desperately want to privatize the VA.
We love veterans, but we don't think we should cover their health care costs, even though that's the contract we signed.
It would seem to me that you don't need a terrible amount of effort to understand the contradictions here. Very much like you talked about at the beginning of the program with the border patrol, with the border bill. The Biden administration gave Republicans literally everything they were asking for. Everything, even things that the administration itself did not support and doesn't believe in, put it in the bill and gave it to them anyway to try to get a bill out. So they bitch about the border but do nothing about it. These are very obvious, very easy to follow contradictions.
But they're not. We have to look for that. You and I, George, candidates, we're more tuned into what's happening on a daily basis. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't watch TV news, period. It pained me to have to tune into CNN to watch the debate. I don't want to go there right now because I'm still not ready.
We will, though.
But it pained me to support a 24-hour sensationalized news cycle. That's the only place people go. Because it's quick. It's right there. We just have to click a button. I'm a book nerd. I would prefer to hide in the library and hand you resource material. So I actually watched the House session live on my phone while I'm at work. I'm not actually watching it. I'm listening to it while I'm working. That's how I know what our legislators are doing. Do you know how many people, one, can do that at their job? Not as many as you'd think. Two, how many people would fall asleep within the first 2 minutes of listening to it? I'd say that's probably 95% of the population because it's boring. But we are engaged, we're active, we have more of an activist background. A lot of people don't have that kind of time. And if we keep people to where they have to work 2 full-time jobs to make ends meet, to support that one child or 2 children, that takes away, that's even less time. So if we own all of the news programs, we own the vast majority of radio talk shows and the newspapers, where even if they had a lazy Sunday and they wanted to spend that lazy Sunday catching up on the week's news out of the newspaper, they can't. They can't even get to what's actually been happening. So out of all these people who support the border, I'm going to use my mom as an example. Mom, I hope you're not tuning in. I love her dearly. She is my mother. She is supportive. She's amazing. My aunts and uncles, amazing, wonderful, very intelligent people. Checked out of the political system for a long time because it's greedy, it's liars, it's corrupt, But I had the conversation about the border bill with her because she's no longer a Democrat. And I'm not going to lie, that broke my heart a lot. Because she didn't support Reagan and she didn't support Bush. So it broke my heart. But she said our southern border is a nightmare. Our country is not as secure as it used to be. I 100% agree with that. It's not secure. We do have problems. We need to fix them. And I said, and this was before that bill was supposed to come to the floor of the House. I'd say it was maybe 3 days after Trump had said, don't pass that. I won't have anything to campaign on. And I said, I'm going to make a prediction. It's going to happen this week. And I want you to remember this. This bill that everyone loves that has all these things, and I listed the specific numbers and everything for her. I said, that bill sounds pretty good, sounds pretty safe, sounds pretty awesome. She's like, yeah. And I said, it's not going to come to the floor of the House for a vote because former President Trump, told his party not to take a vote on it. Speaker Johnson didn't bring it to the floor of the House because when you bring a bill to the floor of the House, you're doing a count. You need to know where the support lies. Do you have enough people to pass something? Do you have enough people to block it? They wanted to block it. They couldn't even get all of their Republicans in line to block it, so he just refused to bring it to the floor for a vote. People don't know that. They think it's a lie when they hear it. When I asked her about it, I didn't get an answer.
Do they think
But
you're
I don't want
lying
to
when you
talk
tell them that?
politics with, huh?
Do they think you are lying when you tell them that?
Yes. And that's terrifying. But I'm one voice telling the truth to the 10, 15, 20 other outlets that they have access to that it's not mentioned on. And then I'm going to go to the debate. Why would we agree to allow a debate with a liar and a con man to not be fact-checked, just to have a debate? Out of 150 million, and I'm not sure the numbers are exactly correct. I did see this in a news blurb in my email today. Out of 150 million people, only 50 million tuned in. I'll bet you the 50 million that tuned in are people like you and I who are already tuned in to what's going on from both sides. So Republicans tuned in just to listen to Trump spew more lies without an active fact checker. Democrats tuned in because we thought we were going to get Dark Brandon, who was going to counter all the lies. We didn't get Dark Brandon. And you know, the only thing that's been in the news and all over everything since the debate Thursday night? Joe Biden. Not a single mention of the lies Trump was spewing. Not one. All focused on Joe. Was that a terrible debate performance? Oh my God. Oh my God. But debates are hard. I'm 48. I debated Dan 2 years ago. I didn't do a damn thing that day except prep for that debate. I had no other events. I did not sit with anyone else. I wasn't on the phone with anyone. I did nothing but prep and focus. Joe Biden had 3 campaign events that day and then the debate, and he was sick. Not an excuse, but at 80, if I can do 3 events, that's pretty impressive. Because right now it's a struggle at 48. And that's a typical schedule for me. I work Monday through Friday full time. As soon as I clock out of work, I'm on the trail. Monday through Friday, I try and stay within an hour drive of the house so that I can get up at 6 a.m. the next morning and function at work, because having a job is important. And my weekends is when I travel everywhere else, 3-4 stops a day, 5 if you're close enough. But it's hard. It's a lot harder than people think it is. And when people finally start to see what a day in the life is really like, and we used to have this. We used to have actual coverage of campaign life. Unbiased, unfiltered. This is what's happening. Now, it's been many, 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 many decades since we've had an unbiased, or a more unbiased, I guess I should say, coverage. But we don't have that. We don't have the education in our schools. Our people don't have the ability to be more engaged because they don't have time. They have enough time to go to work, drive to the second job, go to work again, drive home. Maybe they're lucky enough to get 6-7 hours of sleep. Maybe they're lucky enough to kiss their children goodnight. Maybe they're lucky enough to make them breakfast or kiss them goodbye in the morning. Maybe. But they don't have enough time to engage. So if they get a 5-minute news clip on a conservative talk show radio on their drive to work, you and I are individual. And so you're luckier. You got Northampton County. You're much more blue. I have to disagree with that statement at your break. Most important electorate, I think, this year. All 12 of my counties, my district.
Well, you
We
should
gotta swing.
disagree.
We got to swing.
Right. You should disagree.
You've got Congresswoman Susan Wild, who was a rock star, by the way.
In presidential years, Northampton has, the winner of Northampton County has become president since in every presidential election, I think since 52 or something like that.
I know I spewed a whole lot of negative and a whole lot of doom and gloom, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. I don't mean to be doomy and gloomy. There is an upside here. So the Reagan and Bush Republicans, they know that MAGA is not their party anymore. And now they're getting active because they want their party back. And to any of them listening, tuning in, catch this on accident, I want your party back. I want a party. I want 2 parties, 3 parties, 5 parties. I'm one of those that believes in open primaries. Just throwing it out there. I want there to be parties that have a moral compass, that have a sense of right and wrong, that have the same work ethic as the people that they've saddled a boatload of debt onto, that generations of our children will be lucky if they can escape from. I want to see them return to that. And to those other Republicans who are still a little hesitant, look, I'm a Democrat in a red district. It's a cycle, a 2-year cycle. I'm elected for 2. So guess what? In 2 years, if I have not done you proud and I have not done the work and I'm terrible, or you have a really great normie Republican show up who wants to run, I would completely understand and be the easiest for you to replace. But let us, people like me, people like Fern Laird, people like Patricia Lawton, people like, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting, Tina Burns, Deb Adolph, Mike Zvalerin, Zach Gates. Notice there are a few because not a lot of people are willing to jump into this. Nick McGaw in Bloomsburg in Columbia County. People like us, let us help you defeat MAGA. Let us help you. Let us show you what it's supposed to look like when you elect someone to do the damn job. And in 2 years, if we didn't do you justice, fire us. Which means we don't collect a forever paycheck. Which is something I'd really love to see gone out of the benefits for electeds. Did you know that they get lifetime benefits? Listeners, did you all know that every time you elect a politician and they get to their 3rd term, they have a lifetime paycheck? So even if you fire them, they still get to collect their money, which, by the way, is taxpayer funded. Want to cut the deficit? Okay.
Randall mentions in the chat the problem is the mass media is wholly corporate owned and their owners do not want the truth, only controversial clickbait for viewers. Hang on one second. Somebody else commented and it moved on me. Thus, to be able to charge other corporations more money, our viewership is up. It will cost you more to advertise. Thus, we make more profit. I am reminded of Les Moonves, the president of CBS in 2016, who was doing a public sort of town hall-ish type interview. I believe it was at the Paley Center in Manhattan, where he was asked about the possibility of Trump becoming president and whether it would be good for the country. His answer was, I don't know if it's good for the country, but it's great for CBS.
Yeah.
Fern, as you mentioned, let's stop electing people who provide solutions to problems they've never had. It's one way to look. It's definitely one way to look at it. It's definitely one way to look at it. What do you suppose that the same folks that we've been talking about do they do you suppose that they know of, have thought about, have read, have followed significant Supreme Court decisions that came out this following week, including the Chevron overturning of the Chevron case, which essentially, for all intent and purpose, removes the regulatory ability of the federal government over pretty much everything?
I'm more concerned with the EMTALA decision.
Why?
The reproductive rights. That's the Emergency Medical and Labor Act. I'm forgetting part of the letters in there. But it's Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, meaning you must provide care in an emergency situation, including to pregnant women having a miscarriage. They didn't decide against it. They sent it back to the states. They could not make a decision, so they dismissed it.
They didn't want to make a decision.
Yes. Well, they couldn't come to a majority decision. The court couldn't do it. So they dismissed the case and sent it back to the states. So for now,
Which, by the
and
way,
this
was
is only,
largely
this was only for Idaho. Women in Texas are already not protected by EMTALA. The Supreme Court not deciding that federal law from 1980, 86 or 1968.
86. It
I
EMTALA for
say
all
George's comment.
EMTALA
Yeah,
for all
so-
intent and purpose, folks, was Reagan's quote unquote healthcare plan. When asked how he and his administration and the Republican Party, as part of the Republican Party platform, were going to make healthcare more affordable for more Americans, because there was an uninsured portion of the country even back then, he said, we'll just go to an emergency room and we'll make it so they can't refuse you, which did nothing to address cost. Even with health insurance, if I have to go to the emergency room because I have a kidney stone stuck in my kidney that won't pass, which happens on a relatively regular basis, I can still walk away with $10,000 or more in bills, even with insurance. The emergency room not being allowed to refuse you care is not the same as you being able
Saves
to pay
millions.
for it.
Yeah, it saves millions, but you can't be refused care. Women in Texas already refused care. I shared out, I think at the beginning of the week, it's a Lincoln Project podcast interviews with a woman whose baby died in the womb. She knew something was wrong. They went to the hospital. They went to like basically a Med Express, because I believe it was an hour and a half or a 2.5 hour drive to the nearest hospital. So they went to the Med Express, and the baby had no heartbeat. They did the ultrasound. It appeared to the doctors there the baby had died over a week before, and her body was not miscarrying. And listen to that podcast. I don't think I made it halfway through before I was in tears. The podcaster himself was in tears. And this was a wanted pregnancy. But because of the laws in the state she was in, they could not do a D&C, which is also miscarriage and abortion. It's the same procedure. It's the removal of tissue from the uterus. What was pro-life about that? In the end, this woman nearly died. She passed out. She had lost so much blood over the course of 3 days. She nearly died. They had a 10-month-old little girl. The husband carried his wife to their living room, got her dressed, got his baby in a car seat, ran her out to their vehicle and buckled her in, ran inside and picked up the mother, carried her unconscious, put her in the vehicle, drove over 2 hours to a hospital for her to receive care, because he couldn't even trust that the ambulances were going to take her to a hospital that would save her life. She was hemorrhaging. She was in septic shock. And she was refused emergency medical care.
Here's the
I
hard.
have 4 nieces. My friends all have daughters. I'll be a gram someday. I hope. I have a mother. I have aunts, sisters. None of us can receive reproductive health care safely in this country anymore. And the Supreme Court had the ability to give emergency room doctors clarification and the ability to save lives, which is their Hippocratic oath.
not in a for-profit.
And they decided not to, and they sent it back to the states. Why? States' rights. What states' rights code for? One group of people having ownership of another group of people. Point blank, period. That's it.
And
There
normally,
is no argument for
and
states'
normally
rights.
a minority over the majority.
Yeah.
The framers did build in protections for the minority, but never intended minority rule.
Right.
But let me ask you what I think is a very difficult question, and I don't think anybody has fully explained it. I'm not saying you can. I'm asking your opinion. What is the point? What is the actual overall end point of returning women to the 1850s? What's the point?
Well,
Because I'm at a loss for it. Truly,
I'm gonna throw some fun facts out.
I'm truly lost on it. Is it to return? Are we literally trying to return a majority of the population? 60 women are about 56% of the American population. Are we attempting to return this country to white male landowners only? Is that the ultimate goal? And you know, the interesting bit of this the Koch brothers themselves, in the very, very few interviews that they used to do, and when both were still alive, only Charles remains, said openly in multiple interviews, they couldn't care less if women had abortions or not. They didn't care. They simply wanted to reduce government to such a small point that they could ride roughshod over everything and do whatever they wanted to do. If they wanted to dump pollutants in every local stream and river, unlimited forestry for their paper business, drill baby drill, blast off mountaintops, all this, they didn't want to have to pay for any of it. They didn't want any unions. They just didn't want to pay taxes. They simply don't want to pay taxes. Rich people have decided they don't want to pay taxes, any taxes at any cost. The billionaire class has also decided that democracy is very inconvenient. They don't need it to thrive any longer. But I am, Randall mentions in the chat, I should just read Project 2025. Honestly, I'm not even sure that it's that simple. What is the point? What is the ultimate point of taking the majority of the population of this country and telling you you're not people anymore?
Fun fact.
What's the end game?
Fun fact. Women until mid-1970s were not allowed to have their own bank accounts,
correct,
credit cards, anything. And the money they earned from working prior to being allowed to have access to their own bank accounts belonged to the male, be it a husband, father, brother, grandfather, whoever was in charge of that woman. Their money was not theirs. What does that mean? That meant the woman had no say in whether she had more children. She had no say in whether she was going to stay in an abusive relationship where the husband nearly killed her however many times. Meaning she could not leave with her children from an abusive relationship because there was nowhere for her to go, and that's child endangerment. Meaning maybe her relative is incestuous. She could not escape an incestuous family member because they controlled her finances. Control of her body, control of her finances, control of every single little tiny thing she did. Barefoot and pregnant is not just a saying, it was a way of life, and it was a forced way of life. Do you know the year that women were finally able to get their own small business loans by themselves without a man's signature? Is that a no?
I don't know exactly what year that was now.
1988. 1988.
Ironically, under a Republican
Now,
administration.
yeah. So, what do men do? Did you see the viral internet conversation? I'll call it, and the men's reactions to the millions of women who were asked, "You're in the woods on a trail. Who would you rather run into, a bear or a man?" And the women overwhelmingly chose the bear because at least they had a chance of not being hurt. What was the outrage from men? So if you take away our rights to decide our own futures, to decide to pursue our dreams, to decide we're not going to accept certain treatment. And I get this all the time. I am a single mother. I am a single woman. I am single by choice. I will remain single. I've had enough at 48. Do you know how many women say the exact same thing and are much younger than me? Not only are we 56% of the population, there's a whole bunch of men who can't find a woman because they don't know how to respectfully treat us. And so if we no longer have those rights, we no longer get to prosecute for rape. And I mean, I'm sure you have all seen or heard stories of how women who do report are treated. Were you wearing a skirt too short? Did you have anything to drink? Were you leading him on by smiling?
Victim shaming.
Yeah. So when you take our ability to stand up for ourselves away, what do we have left? And I keep saying this to people, it's not just about being pro birth, it is about being anti woman. No, that's fine. Oh, I'm answering your chat ask. So everybody, Jeff just asked if it was all right if you open the phone line. And I said, absolutely.
Let me reset the program. We've entered our third and final hour of the evening.
Oh,
this is the Kennedy Effect Live with you for the 30th of June, 2024. It's actually still light out, which is always makes me feel pretty good. It makes me think that we've actually not been here that long. It's a very strange thing. When we get to those points in the year, when I start the program, it's daylight. When we end, it's dark. It makes me feel like I've been here a hell of a lot longer than I've actually been. But at least it'll be dark by the time we're done. But at least it's still a little bit light out now. Funny how quickly it changes too, because my birthday is June 21st. It's the longest day of the year. Meaning the longest amount of daylight of the year. And I would take Daisy out in the morning at around 5:15, 5:30, and it was already completely light out. And just 1 week later, I took her out 5:15, 5:30, and it was already, all the street lamps were still on. It was just a little bit darker than it was the week before. And it really is amazing, the older I've gotten, how quickly these things pass and how quickly they go. So wherever you are across the Facebook universe, we've shared 105 places. Thank you very much for allowing us to be part of your corner of the Facebook universe. You can come and chat with us, comment on the program, my Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy. To everyone who's allowed us to be there, stay there, enjoy. I will try my best to keep up with your comments if you are making any, and any of the places that we've shared the program. Hot101.net, our name is our web address, but no need to use the website if you don't wish. You can use our apps, Apple App Store, Google Play Store for Android, and the TuneIn Radio app. If you can connect to the internet anywhere on earth, below it or above it too, by the way, you can listen to Hot101.net 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, everywhere on the planet. And you should do exactly that. We're proud to be part of the Hot101.net family. TCP Media Group from Lancaster as well. We have about a half hour-ish left with Amanda before George and I take you to the end of the program. The final Villain's View live on hot101.net happens right after us at 9 p.m. George and I will be explaining a bit of that to you in the final half hour, 20 minutes, somewhere in that area. We'll be explaining to you what's happening to us, to the Villain's View, all that fun stuff. We'll get into that at the end of the program. So we're going to say roughly 8:30, 8:40 left with Amanda, who already seems to be shocked that she's been here for 2 hours. That's how it goes with most guests. That means it's a pleasurable visit, and I'll take it every time. Should not feel like it's been that long. When it doesn't feel, makes me think it's a pretty good conversation. We hope you're enjoying it. I want to ask, though, I completely understand your concern, your attention to the EMTALA decision, but I have to kind of force it back here. Supreme Court also did overturn Chevron this week. They basically gutted the regulatory abilities of the federal government, essentially saying that if Congress does not specifically outline in the legislation what federal executive level departments are capable of doing, that the executive departments may not take that ability upon themselves. The original legislation creating the EPA never said that the EPA shall have the right to regulate carbon emissions. But we know that carbon emissions are one of, if not the leading contributor to greenhouse gases and to global climate change and global climate catastrophe, for that matter. So that the only way the EPA would be able to regulate that is if Congress specifically grants the EPA that power, even though it is an executive branch department, that the president can't do it, but Congress has to do it. Doesn't that concern you, again, for the 99% of us in this country who know, and I believe that even some of the most staunchest MAGA Republicans know, regulations are protections. We regulate the meat packing industry so that the meat doesn't kill us. We regulate cars. Seatbelts were a lovely, lovely thing. Now, the charter for the Department of Transportation never said that they can institute a mandate for seatbelts. They took that power upon themselves and saved millions and millions of lives. The Chevron decision, to me, is a fundamental change in the balance of power within government, and is essentially, it's a little oversimplistic of language. It changes the very nature of of government, generally speaking. I think the Chevron decision does not directly address state government regulation, but we all know that stuff works downhill. Does the Chevron decision bother you, concern you as much as any of the other seemingly ridiculous decisions that have been coming out of this corporate Supreme Court?
So one of my friends is he's a bit of an amateur Supreme Court scholar. He knows every single court and every single decision since the start of the Supreme Court. It's kind of crazy. I didn't know this. I know this now, so I always ask his opinion on a lot of these decisions. I get all fiery and angry because I'm only looking at one side. I'm learning. Do we know what this court is up to? Yeah, read Project 2025. They want to get rid of regulations. They're assuming that Trump will be elected. They're assuming they can take control of both the House and the Senate. They are assuming that they can start prosecuting their enemies, rounding up opposition. That'd be people like me, like you, or opposition.
I'd be in a camp.
And then we know no regulation is ever going to pass in the House or the Senate. They get control of how we design our maps, get anything implemented in the Constitution. The thing is it's 3/4 vote to add amendments, right? 2/3, all the that doesn't go by population necessarily if you have enough of one party elected in both houses of Congress. Which means these legislators, like my opponent, Dan, who we already know doesn't bother to listen to his constituents or act in their best interests as he's supposed to, none of the rest of them are either. Our guardrails are down, and I cannot get this across to people in any other way. We have no guardrails left except being engaged, showing up, and voting, paying attention. If you don't hear anything negative, go look for it because it's out there. It's that it's being blocked. And I mean negative about your current elected. Dan Muser is just an example. Now, to this actual decision, looking at both sides. Do I want a regulatory committee such as EPA or at our state level, DEP, to be controlled solely by the president's office or the governor's office? Meaning every time we get a new president, we have to worry about not having an effective regulatory agency, as Trump did with the EPA when he became president. Here in Pennsylvania, DEP has made some issues that would have been small had they dealt with them, but because they can't effectively regulate, they can't effectively fine, taxpayers are stuck with bills that we wouldn't have, which the people who own the companies, that's exactly what they want. They want to get rich. They want to make the messes. They want the taxpayers to foot the bill of fixing it and cleaning it up.
Insourcing the profit,
Yeah.
outsourcing the cost.
However, if our legislature was doing its job properly and passing the laws, they can't be overturned and gutted by a single man or woman at the top. They can't violate laws. That's actually been a problem that President Biden's been facing when trying to pass these executive orders to address the southern border. Every time he puts through an executive action on the southern border, he ends up in front of the Supreme Court being sued by you name it. Because our country was not meant to be governed by executive order only. Our country was meant to run on 3 equal branches that were the checks and balances to each other. You mentioned the meatpacking industry, and that's to keep our meat from killing us, right?
Literally.
Except,
and to keep children from getting killed making it.
That was the intention. Okay, then those are child labor laws, thanks unions. There's a bill called the Prime Act. This is specifically for livestock farmers. This is specific to small livestock farmers that would allow them to sell their meat in our local grocery stores. And I don't know how many listeners are familiar with local livestock farms, but the vast majority of small farmers, their livestock is organic, grass-fed, pasture-fed, organic, and treated very well.
Humanely.
Yes. I mean, up to that. However, this bill, this is, gosh, I've lost track. I think this is the 5th session now it's been proposed. Huge bipartisan support. Goes off to a committee, dies in committee. Why? Who's being protected? The big agricultural, industrial companies. Yeah. So, start thinking Monsanto and the like. Our meat is not necessarily safer, but our small farmers are going under.
Safety costs money.
50 million hoops.
Right. Safety
So
costs money.
there are two sides to this. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have a functioning government. We don't have a functioning legislative branch. We don't have a functioning judicial branch anymore. Some of our states still do. The ones that are Democratic. FYI, people.
I see you there,
I
Randall.
want to see it run the way it's supposed to. Does the decision terrify me? Yep. But it's also
It should
maybe
terrify
this will
everybody.
even the playing field instead of alleviating all these regulations for large corporations, but keeping them intact for smaller businesses and smaller farms. That's how it actually shakes out.
It should bother everybody. It really should. It should bother everybody. Randall,
But
go ahead, my friend.
Looking at the two sides of it.
Yeah. Randall, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient. I should have said that. Thank you for being patient.
Hi, Randall.
Great. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for running as Democratic candidate in the 9th Congressional U.S. Congressional District here in PA. I'm down in the 5th. We, after 150 years of Republican-controlled rule in Delaware County, we started taking everything back starting in 2018. And I have an incredible woman to represent me in the state house, an incredible union man to represent me in the state senate, and we've taken our county government 100%. Where formerly it was 100% Republican, and it all happened because of the MAGA Trump party being born. And so there is some hope, at least in suburbia, at least in cities, there is some hope that we're going to survive this coming election. And Joe Biden will get reelected, and we will take control of the House and keep control of the Senate. And then maybe they'll finally expand the Supreme Court and do away with this corporate Supreme Court Republican majority. Your thoughts?
I want to see us start holding the nominees accountable for what they say in their confirmation hearings. When they're going through that interview process.
Amen.
If you lie to that committee, I want you to forfeit the position.
As all of the Trump nominees did.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I want that across the board.
Committee.
I think everyone should be telling the truth in these hearings. And that should be a disqualifying factor if you just outright lie. Term limits need to be implemented on our Supreme Court. No more lifetime. The lifetime appointments were when people were like maybe living to 60. This wasn't meant to, have people die on the bench in their 80s.
Let me drill down with that for you. I need to drill into Randall's question just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Randall for bringing it up, but you're running to be a member of the House of Representatives.
Yep. And I won't have any say over our nominees.
Article 3, Section 2 says that Congress shall establish and regulate the courts. Mm-hmm. It gives Congress the power to regulate the courts. Changing term limiting judges would mean a literal amendment to the Constitution. But changing the makeup of the court, reducing the number of justices, raising the number of justices, which we've done 7 times in the history of this country, establishing new district courts, is all the purview of Congress, and it can all be done by simple legislation, not amending the Constitution, but by simple legislation. Would you be one of the folks if you get to Washington to say it's time for Congress to use its constitutionally given power to regulate the courts.
Yes, 100%. But in order to do that, we must have a functioning legislative branch of the government, and we do not and have not for decades. Our legislative branch gets less and less and less effective every session.
By design.
By design. Our legislature, and I shouldn't say we because I'm not there yet. Our legislature has handed over power back to the executive branch directly to the president because they didn't want to make the hard decisions.
It's also easier to blame one person.
These past 2 presidential cycles, we've seen how that plays out. Who gets the blame for the border security bill not being passed? President Biden. Even though it was the Republican Party that refused to vote on it.
Their own bill.
It's Biden's fault. And there are things that, Trump got blamed for as well, right or wrong. But it's not, the president does not do everything in this country alone. Our government was set up to work together. All 3 branches work together to get the job done. We don't have a functioning legislative branch. And that's putting pressure on the other 2 branches. And it's just causing complete and total chaos. So would I absolutely, try and fix the problems we have with the court? Would there be mandatory ethics in the Supreme Court if we can enforce that legislatively? Absolutely. Are there going to be, wealthy benefactors to our Supreme Court justices? Not anymore. But we have to get a functioning legislature back first. And that's not a party statement. I'm not making it a party statement. I'm saying we need real people who are willing to do the job of regular people and stop focusing so much on their corporate donors, on their wealthy donors, on the strings that are pulling them around.
Go ahead, Randall. What else you got?
Just getting back real quick to the Chevron ruling by the UFC. Bought out Supreme Court majority. It's just mind-boggling of what that means. It doesn't just mean that the FDA, which approved an abortion drug, 40 years plus, being taken away from women across this country. I mean, the FDA doesn't have the right to regulate drugs, period. Doesn't have the Department of Agriculture the right to regulate food safety. And, I can go down the list on every agency that is going to be affected for my lifetime. I'm 72 now, so there's not that much left, but it's just mind-boggling of what's going to happen. And back on the U.S. Supreme Court and the constitutional right of the legislature to regulate judges. Yeah, we need more districts. Well, there's only 7, and we need 15 appealing court. And judges, and we need the Supreme Court to be expanded to shut down paid and fought for a majority on the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's all I got to say. And it's not much time left in your show, and you have to get to what you're going to be doing in the future. So I want to say thank you again, Amanda, for coming on Jeff's show. God bless both of you. Love you both. Bye.
Thank you, Randall. You take care of yourself too, buddy. Take care. Always tell Randall, watch his health. as I should
Please watch your
probably,
health, Randall.
yeah, watch my own a little better. But you know, you take care of yourself down there and take care of everybody. I have to
I'd be
ask you
more
what,
concerned if that decision was handed back to the states to decide, but being that it's handed to the legislature to make the laws and implement this,
it's still a
we've got a EPA
fundamentally,
regulations and we've got a DEP regulations across the country.
yeah,
We
it's
need
still
it set into national federal law.
it's still a fundamentally unconstitutional and undemocratic, small d democratic
Mhm.
interpretation of the
Oh,
function
yeah.
of government, and it
Yeah.
benefits
This was definitely 100% in favor of corporations and
billionaires
big
and
business interests.
corporations, and that's it.
There
Billionaires and
is
corporations. Why do you
there is
suppose?
hope though to fix it. There is still hope in the general public.
Why do you suppose? I want to go back to something that you mentioned really early on in the program. I've used the analogy before, and it's not a perfect analogy by any means. 100 people in the room, right? Just a room full of 100 people and one voting machine. And one of those people is a billionaire. There's still 99 of the rest of us. And at the end of the day, no matter how much money the billionaire tries to throw around, when we walk to that voting machine, we still only have one vote each. There's 99 of us and there's one of them. Why do you think that regardless of what side of the aisle you might be on, and again, happen to think that for all its flaws, the Democratic Party is the only functioning political party in the country, the only ones that have any ideas, policies, wish to govern. Whether we do it effectively all the time is, I think, easily a matter for discussion, but we're certainly the only ones trying. So why do you think that so many of us, so many of that 99, that theoretical 99 people in the room seem to have forgotten that if we did stick together, there's still more of us?
So when the 99 of us band together and we vote for a candidate, we don't know that that candidate is already owned by that one billionaire. So we thought we were electing a representative for us. And what we actually did was elect a representative for that one dude or one woman or one company.
But do we
And
really
it's
not
not that
know
this
that?
just happened in a single election. It's not that it happened in a single 4-year period of time. It's that this has been going on since the early 1800s,
I
where
would say
we're
at
getting
least.
duped.
Yeah.
Then you have things like Tammany Hall. You have mobsters gaining power. The last time we effectively came together and held legislators responsible for their votes was in the early 1900s during the progressive movement.
Mhm.
We ended up with prohibition. um, hmm. That was a god awful idea. We know it's a god awful idea. We overturned that amendment, which is awesome. But ever since then, when you keep, what's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So in 2024, if that has been historically how elections have gone, and all of our candidates get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, and no one's willing to step up and run, what are you supposed to do? Continue to vote and elect the idiot, the greedy, the liar? Or are you going to become apathetic and just focus on surviving your life and praying your kids get, have something better in the future? So 200 years worth of torture by showing up and voting. And that's why so many people don't feel like their voice is actually heard. We're to the point now where we can't even get honest news coverage on who candidates are.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to investigate? How are you supposed to know what's true and what's false? How are you supposed to believe in a system that has worked against you for your entire life, for your parents' entire lives, for a good chunk of your grandparents' life? How do you combat that? We're getting better with people stepping up and running for office now, because there are enough of us now that believe we did the wrong thing and we want to make it right. And when I say we did the wrong thing, I mean we became apathetic too. I'm just as guilty. There was a period of my life where all I could focus on was just surviving to the next day, making sure my kids had food for dinner, breakfast, lunch. I disassociated with politics. But politics is just a series of issues that we all face every day. And I see that now. And I've been saying this, and you know it. Don't focus on politics when you talk to people. When you're filling up your gas pump and you hear the sigh out of the person on the pump beside you, have a conversation. Discuss how hard it is to fill your tank of gas. But what choice do you have? Are you supposed to just quit your job?
It's interesting. I had one of those conversations.
I have many of them.
I was on one side of the pump. Gentleman with a landscaping truck was on the other. And obviously I know how much gas you use in that type of, I've never been a landscaper, thank goodness. I don't think anybody would want to see that, but I understood what he was getting at. And he did the damn stupid thing that they all do. No, I wasn't paying this money under Trump. And I just looked at him. I said, what year might you be talking about? And he said, well, even 4 years ago, I wasn't paying this. I said, yeah, were you working 4 years ago? And he said, no, we were home from the pandemic. I said, that's exactly correct. You were home for the pandemic. And so was about 2/3 of the economy.
People forget
when no one's using
what the gas price was right before the shutdown. We were paying what we are now and a little bit more before 2020.
When no one uses something, the price of it goes down. We were all home. I went during that shutdown from maybe the end of March all the way till I finally found a job again in, I think, September, October or something of 2022, when it looked, not 2022, sorry, 2020, when it looked like, my company was never going to reopen. I think I might have bought gas maybe 2 or 3 times in 6 months. So of course the price went down. No kidding. No kidding. And when the gentleman, to his credit, made that connection, and I could see the light bulb go, I then mentioned to him, did you also know that several months ago, the Russians and the Saudis said that they would cut oil production with the specific intent of keeping prices artificially high?
So that Trump could
and
get
he
reelected.
goes, oh, yeah, I did hear about that. I said, so really, you know better. You just kind of didn't think that out. The easy thing is to say, damn Joe Biden. And to his credit, took a step back, took a breath, and said, yeah, you know what? Yeah.
That's what it comes to every time I have the conversation. I love these conversations because my car isn't labeled that I'm a candidate. I don't have magnets on it. I don't have, campaign swag. I don't have anything. I'm a regular person getting gas.
Probably.
And those conversations are the best. And at the end, I get to give them one of my business cards. And I get to say, let's make a change together.
Before I steal the rest of the program, so George and I can talk about what's happening with this program.
I was gonna say, I need to go.
Let me ask you, let me just ask you kind of a sum up end up final sort of question. Even if you take your candidacy out of it, which is a hard thing to do, obviously, it's part of who you are now. You're a public figure, you're a candidate.
Much to my chagrin.
What gives you hope?
Believe it or not, the people. Taking my candidacy out, let's change it together. Let's change it. I am angry. I am furious. I am sad. I'm apathetic to many things. I'm tired all the time because I'm still working 2 full-time jobs. One I get paid for, the other one I'm not. I'm tired of seeing parents who didn't get to watch their kids grow up. I'm tired of people getting stuck in a cycle of poverty because as soon as something good happens, as soon as they get that job, as soon as they have some training, as soon as they graduate from college, they're saddled with so much more debt, they fall right back into the cycle because they can't escape, because the system is stacked against them. I don't think there's a single Trump supporter that will disagree with anything I just said. That's what they are pissed off about. Because if you look at the average Trump voter and their average income, you know that these are the same people that I just described being angry about myself. We face the same struggles. So let's work together and demand that the people we elect to represent us actually go do the work. Do the damn job or get the hell out of our way so we can do it ourselves. And it's that simple. It's why I'm running. It's not because I particularly like to go to the grocery store and be recognized. I have a whole new set of clothing now for when I'm going to the store to shop, for my groceries, for gas, to run the errands. I've never been somebody who likes to be in the spotlight. I don't like to be known. I like my privacy. I live in the middle of nowhere, on old farmland. I would, like I said at the beginning, I'd prefer to be working in a library quietly, handing you resource materials and reading whatever I can get my hands on. I am much more introverted than people realize. But we need people to do the work. Yeah, we need people to do the work. And that's what I want to do. And I hope that people give me the chance to do it.
How does everybody find you? Contact, all that stuff. How do people follow you? All that fun stuff.
So the website is Waldman 4pa.com. info@Waldman 4pa.com is an email address. You can find me on Facebook. I do still have a Twitter handle. I mean, X. I cannot decide whether or not I want to use it. I'm so disgusted by Elon Musk, and I don't see a lot of people using it. I'm also on Instagram, Threads. My TikTok account was just disabled, so this is fun. You can't find my campaign page on Facebook because that as well has been unpublished and disabled by Facebook. That's been a 1.5-year battle now. So you have to look for Amanda Waldman. You'll see my logo and my photo, and you'll know that I'm a political candidate. But it's my personal profile page because Facebook can't say it's fake.
Is Muser's Facebook page taken down?
No.
Ironic, isn't it?
Mine. I've been hacked a number of times, so it's all fun and games until somebody loses an election, Dan. Oh, and if you would love to follow a really great page on Facebook. It is called Congressman Dan Muser is a Traitor. I highly recommend, if you'd like to stay up to date on the latest thing that Dan didn't do for his district, go check him out. I don't know who runs the page, but whoever it is, if you're listening, thank you so much for trying to do the work of the people. I hope to eventually find out who you are, and I hope to eventually help you.
Thank you for being here yet again.
Of course, my pleasure.
Come back and see us anytime, and it doesn't have to be this long. And I'll explain.
Yeah, I was literally supposed to be like an hour.
Yeah, I'll explain why in just a few minutes. But thank you for being here as always. I miss seeing you. We don't seem to. Very strange how pandemic ends. We somehow still don't seem to see each other as much as we used to. But regardless, thank you. And
my pleasure.
I mean, come back and see us. You always know the door's open to you.
Thanks for the invite. It was good to see everybody. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the questions.
Good night,
Randall, take care of
puppies.
yourself.
Stay out of trouble over there, puppies.
Oh, they're getting drinks. Yep. She's like, all right, I have to go potty now.
Thank
She's
you.
still on the 2-hour schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye now.
That's Amanda Waldman, the Democratic nominee and candidate for the United States House of Representatives from the 9th District, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It is 8:43, so we got about 15-ish minutes left. And it's time, I think, really, to get into what's going to be happening to our program. And when I say that, please don't, it's not a bad thing. I hope not. I guess if you're a listener, it's not a bad thing. Maybe if you're a new listener, you'll think it's a bad thing. So here's what's going to happen. I have partnered with Sergeant Mack. You know Sergeant Mack from this program. He and I met through this program. You've listened to his program. I'm sure you've seen him on, you and about 1.5 million other people have seen him and I don't mean that flippantly, like literally. You've seen him, if you watched his videos on TikTok. He is the, chief host of the Villain's View that comes up right after us on these Sunday evenings. And along with George and a group from the Villain's View, we have formed our own new internet radio platform called GCPR. We tried to do WGCP, and believe it or not, somebody took it. We couldn't find a W something to save our lives. They were all gone. Every time we tried to think of a new one, we would find out that it was used. So GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio. And we launch tomorrow morning, July 1st at 7 a.m. with Sergeant Mack, with Thomas McCormick, our flagship program called The Sound of Coffee, which I just think is clever and fun for a morning show. And he begins tomorrow from 7 a.m. Eastern time. Now, to everybody who's on hot101.net right now, and especially to my fellow, well, I shouldn't say my fellow DJs. I'm not a DJ. These guys have a very unique talent that I have no rhythm whatsoever. But to DJ Lex, DJ Earl, everybody at hot101.net, we're not going anywhere. Our plan is to continue to remain here on Sundays as long as I can physically continue to do it. Our hot101.net family is important to me. They gave me a chance to bring this to you when no one else would. They took a chance, and they have given us a home for a very long time, over 5 years now. And in this business, that's a damn long time. So we're not going anywhere from Hot 101. what we're going to be doing at GCPR is an addition to and expansion of what we do here. Our plan is to visit with you every weeknight, definitely Monday through Thursday. My original plan was to do Monday through Friday. And then I thought to myself, do I really want to be getting off the radio at 9 o'clock on a Friday when I could actually spend some time with my wife, whom I like, by the way, whom I actually happen to like. She's my best friend. Who I'd actually like to spend time, who I actually spend time with and enjoy spending time with. And we like to actually do things together. Heaven forbid, we actually like to do things together. And I don't want that to go away. So I don't know about Friday yet. And I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole here, but we're going to have to think about Friday. But we began, we intentionally chose Monday, July 1st to begin because it'll probably be a 3-day broadcast week to really give us a chance to shake out any ghosts in the machine that might be actually there, or shake out any problems that we haven't anticipated or that we didn't test for, things like that. We will be available on many, many different platforms and different, what you would call, I guess what you would kind of call channels on those platforms. My show will come right here to you on my Facebook page. It will also go to a YouTube channel for GCPR. It will go to my YouTube channel. It will go to a GCPR Twitter. It will go to my Twitter. It will go to that other side of it. Well, I don't know about that other side of information. We're fighting with Facebook. I shouldn't have said that one. It's going to my LinkedIn. It's going to probably by the time it's all said and done, it's going to go to about 8-ish, maybe, George, different video places live. You will also be able to listen to it at our website, which I posted in the comments, gcpr.live, not .com, .live, and not gcprlive.com. It's GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, gcpr.live. You can listen to us there. The website will tell you everywhere that you can listen to us. The website will also explain to you all the other shows, the new shows. I shouldn't say all the other as if they're somehow different. All the shows, the team's shows, all the GCPR shows are explained right there on the website. It's important to me, though, for any of you listening at Hot 101, and especially from my hot101.net family, the DJs, Lex, Earl, April, everybody that's involved. We're not leaving. What I'm doing on weeknights, or what I will be doing on weeknights, is simply an expansion of the program. Weeknights on Hot 101 is music, and you should check it out because it's great music brought to you and mixed and put together and pieced together and by people who are genuinely talented and who are good human beings. I hope you continue to listen to Hot 101 every chance you get and every chance that you feel you want to. If you want to move away from politics, and we can all get a little too drowned in politics at times, go to Hot 101, listen to some great music, relax, clear your brain. If you want to stick with our program, if you enjoy what we do, we will be coming to you every single night. Well, 4 nights a week, I think, is going to end up being 4 weekday nights, if that's not a contradiction. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., just a quick hour. We'll continue to take your calls. We'll continue to take your comments, your questions. You can argue with me. You can, what did I say? I said weeknights. I said weekday nights. Didn't I say? I think that's what I said. George is correcting me. He's right to do so, by the way. He should. I think I said weekday nights. I don't know why I said that or where it came from. I think I'm getting tired. But that said, we will be with you weeknights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday. Like I said, I originally had said I was going to do Friday, but I'm thinking Friday is, nobody's going to listen to me on a Friday night. They're going to be out. Maybe we do Friday nights in the winter when the weather gets terrible. Regardless, you get my point. We will be here weeknights with you from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sergeant Mac, Thomas McCormick, Thomas the Villain, Chief Villain of the Villain's View, is going to be hosting our flagship program in the mornings called The Sound of Coffee. There are a list of other programs that you want to check out. Go to the website and check it out. I put it in the chat. We can probably put it in again a few more times. And I hope that you'll check us out. This has nothing to do with Hot 101. They've been wonderful to us. They gave us a chance. This is something that we are doing above and beyond well, I shouldn't even say beyond, really, just outside of Hot 101. Hot 101 is primarily music, and that's wonderful. It's a great thing. They gave us a chance. They gave us Sundays. And we're going to stay here on Sundays. To be able to be with you weeknights, we needed our own platform. We wanted to put our own spin on it. We wanted to put our fingerprints on it. And we believe that's exactly what we've done for you. So I hope that you'll check it out. This is not an invitation to leave and run away from Hot 101. It's another place that we hope you'll visit in addition to Hot 101. So we hope that you'll do that. The Kennedy Effect will be here on Sundays. TKE Tonight, which I'm not even sure I like that name quite yet, but the Kennedy Effect Tonight, TKE Tonight begins tomorrow evening, July 1st, from 8 p.m. So what are you going to see on this new program? Honestly, pretty much what you already see. It's not going to be a huge change in format. I'm not suddenly going to wear a suit and tie. I'm not going to grow my hair down to my ass. I'm not going to be covered in ink. I'm not going to swear more. I'm not going to stand on top of the table and insult people. I'm not suddenly going to become Glenn Beck or Rush Limbaugh or or Alex Jones or Ben Shapiro. I'm not suddenly going to become one of those folks. I'm still going to be me. And I'm going to do the program that I want to do. We won't name call. We won't be clickbait. We won't say controversial things just to be controversial. George will be here with me. He's been through this whole journey of ours from the very, very beginning. And he will be here at GCPR as well. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I would not want to do a program without him here, because it's simply not the same without him. On the weeks that he has to do family things, and God knows life gets in the way, it's never quite the same program when he's not here. And he's going to be with me on weeknights as well, or weekday nights, as I like to say. He'll be with me. I don't even know where that came from. He'll be with me weeknights as well. Now, we started this first, as I mentioned, we started this. We kind of intentionally picked the week of July 4th, rather intentionally. You should be hearing live programming on GCPR starting tomorrow morning and Tuesday and Wednesday. The 4th is a holiday. Friday, we'll probably just bag it a bit. Look back on the first 3 days, make sure everything's running, make sure everybody can find us, can see us. And then we come back and we hit you again on the 8th, Monday, July 8th, and we start all over again until it becomes, like breathing, until it becomes very routine. But we hope that you'll follow us on this journey. We hope that you'll follow us to GCPR in addition to your listening at hot101.net. Not instead of, but in addition to. Because we owe Hot 101 a lot. We're thankful to them. We're grateful to them. Randall mentioned in the chat, thank God hot101.net for giving the Kennedy Effect a chance. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. This program wouldn't be here without Hot. It wouldn't be. Or if we were going, we'd be a hell of a lot less known than we are. I owe a lot of thanks, deep and sincerest thanks to Hot 101. And that makes it sound like we're leaving. We're not. We will be here next Sunday, barring anything unforeseen, like a power failure or I get sick or something. We'll be here next week. GCPR is a brand new platform in addition to Hot 101, and we hope that you'll come and check us out. The website is GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio .live, LIVE. And I'll put it again in the chat for the program. GCPR.live. We begin tomorrow morning, and I will be with you with George tomorrow evening from 8 p.m. A quick hour, by the way, 8 to 9. That's it. No more of these marathons that I'm boring you through. We'll be here tomorrow as well. You should, well, we did test this. We know it works. You will be able to find us on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page tomorrow evening. You will find us on our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information, in addition to all of the Ghost Claw Productions radio platforms. There's a Twitter, there's a YouTube channel, there's a TikTok, all of it. You'll be able to find us so many different places, and I will explain more of that tomorrow evening. It's 8:58. We have 2 minutes left. Following us in 2 minutes live is the final Villain's View on hot101.net. Thomas is deciding to leave hot101.net, as is his choice. We are staying. He is moving exclusively to GCPR. This is America. We're allowed to make choices. So we hope that you'll enjoy and listen to the final Villain's View following us live. And then, starting tomorrow morning, you can find Thomas at gcpr.live. George, did I screw any of that up? Is there anything you want to add on top of that that I may have forgotten or didn't explain correctly or anything like that?
No, I just like the weeknight days. I thought that was nice. Or the weekday nights, whatever. Weekday.
Well, I was trying to be very
weekday nights. Okay.
I was trying to be descriptive.
Like
I don't know where that came from.
And all of a sudden,
really
I had
know.
to fact check that, and I was like, "Wait, is week?" Well,
I have
I mean,
no-
it basically is right, but it
Right,
it
it's
is the
like,
day. It's at night, but I'm like, well, wait, wouldn't he just say weeknights? And then I put that into the chat.
Right. No, I think you're right. It's like, okay, sort of understand what he just said there, but why did he say that? So, yeah, that's true. That's true. So,
Flag on the play.
for everyone at the TCP Media Group, Andrew, Marquise, Taekwon, and Whitney, for everyone and our family at hot101.net, DJ Lex, DJ Earl, everybody at Hot 101, for everybody here at the Kennedy Effect, for George and Lindare, for Kristen, Daisy the dog, and Guy the cat downstairs. I am Jeff Kennedy. We've done all the damage we could do for 1 week. We will see you tomorrow at GCPR Live, GCPR.live. I'm going to say it right one of these times. See you tomorrow from 8 p.m. We'll be back here next Sunday. Take care of yourselves and each other. Live on hot101.net, the Villain's View begins right now.